Hi, it's Joey Reynolds with the Joey Reynolds Rap with some good news. You know, the same-sex marriage has been approved by the Supreme Court, and I'm encouraging my kids to become same-sex divorce lawyers, because that's going to be a booming business one of these days, pretty soon. Hey, you know what? The bad news is about Donald Trump's house. He had all of these Mexican workers, and they pushed the reverse button on the leaf blowers, and now they're back in Tijuana. Well, Donald has had an erectile dysfunction on his hair. I think it's also moved down on his scalp a little bit. He got fired, you know. I mean, The Apprentice got fired. Can you imagine? He didn't fire himself either. Can you imagine Walt Disney and Fantasia firing the wizard and putting Mickey Mouse in charge? Well, that's similar to what's happening here. I'm a senior right now. I think you know that. I'm not a freshman anymore, and I've moved along. I believe in miracles, and also I believe in dragons and dungeons, and I imagine dragons. You can tell that I like rock and roll because of that statement. You know, the music today has changed. Even Taylor Swift, she has made a definite stab in the apple. She's the worm in the apple this week. But they made peace, you know. I mean, let's face it. We, as disc jockeys, we used to get payola to play records so they would become hits. So then the artists would have to go on tour and make enough money and come and do our record hops. Remember those things? Come and do the dances. And we would never pay them. That was our payoff. That was how we made money. The disc jockeys were in on it. The radio was in on it. We don't have that anymore. Now everything's on the dashboards, on your watch. It's going to be downloaded. And we've all become victims now of paying for everything. You pay for cable. You pay for radio. You pay for per play, which is payola. The same thing we had. Except you guys are paying now. And you have to know your records. You see, there's nobody introducing the music. You don't have it anymore. You don't have Casey Kasem anymore. You don't have a libretto. You don't have TV Guide. Nobody tells us what we're supposed to like. So let me be your guy. Let me be the guy that you pay attention to. I'm the person who will tell you what to do. You know, the tweet and Twitter. It's what we're doing. It's a tweet or trick or tweet. We have news on that. I want to report that to you. There's a big fight going on with Microsoft. I guess you probably heard the news that Bill Gates has jumped out of a window 98. So we have things that are not good to report to you. In Los Angeles, for instance, the winds are out of the west from the fires, but the good news is that it affected the marijuana crop, and people are going to be high for about a week. I used to have this when I lived in Laurel Canyon. I lived above the country store, and I could overlook all of my dealers. We prayed for the San Andrea winds. Was that what it was called? It would bring all that. We'd have the munchies for a long time. But then we'd have to go to Cantor's. Now, Cantor's is not a religious experience with retired singers in a synagogue. It's a deli. And they give you these day-old bagels to dip into this cream cheese, and that's how you warm up for the real meal that's coming. But they do validate parking. My favorite thing was that place on Santa Monica Boulevard. There was my friend who owned the strip mall, and they had a pizza place right next door to a dry cleaners. The pizza and the dry cleaners were joined together, and he asked me to come up with a slogan on the marquee, and I did. Drop your pants here and have a piece next door. I'm going to go back to the home for the relatively unimportant, but let me tell you, as I think about it, I'm so filled with guilt and shame that I was thinking of being a surrogate for those two guys that ran away from prison. Maybe I'll go and finish their term, and they can be let free. I'm looking for someone else to join me. We can go to prison for these guys, and they'll be let go. And you know what? Someone is going to be crazy enough to volunteer this. It'll probably be one of my relatives, too, who took their masks off at the last family picnic, and they were the members of KISS. Hey, it's a Reynolds Rap.